As if you thought the NFL schedule couldn't get any worse, now we actually have league confirmation that they screwed it up. Welcome everybody to JG9 News, where we talk all things NFL all the time. I'm Joe Regaro9, representing the 904 from the 602, and today we are talking about this team behind me right here, the Baltimore Ravens, in relation to the 2024 NFL schedule that was released last week. And before I go any further, I just have to talk for a brief moment about the conspiracy theory that the NFL planned their schedule around Taylor Swift so that the Chiefs-Bills game, it will coincide with that, because Taylor Swift is on tour in Toronto at the Rogers Center, and the Bills are playing the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football, 90 minutes away the very next day, as if Taylor Swift can't take a private jet and fly anywhere in the world and be there the very next day. It's not like she went from Japan to the Super Bowl with ease, and the NFL planned it that way. You think they can plan that out? I bring that up because if you think they can plan that out when they can't even realize what we're about to talk about today, they can't even realize that the Bears and Steelers don't have divisional games until week 11. You think they could plan that out? Come on, because this is insane. Because the NFL immediately admitted after they released the schedule, you know what, this might not be the best schedule. So an interesting quirk with the schedule is that the Baltimore Ravens are playing on the road on Christmas Day. The Ravens are playing on Christmas Day against the Houston Texans on the road on that Netflix game, which, oh joy, a game on Netflix. How exciting. But last year, they also played on Christmas. They played on the road against the San Francisco 49ers. So that is now back-to-back years that the Baltimore Ravens are playing on Christmas Day on the road, away from their families, away from their loved ones. That's back-to-back years now. And Mike North, who designed the NFL schedule, at least in part, said immediately afterwards, you know what? Yeah, we kind of screwed up here. This might not have been the best idea. Said Mike North on the Ravens playing back-to-back years on Christmas Day on the road. In retrospect, maybe asking the Ravens to play on Christmas 2 years in a row maybe wasn't, and then Peter Schrager, who was conducting the interview, interjected with some thoughts, and he didn't let Mike North finish the thought, but you can probably see where that was going, especially because North then said, I'm not sure that's the right thing to do to the players and their families. So Mike North admitting that the Ravens playing on Christmas Day on the road in back-to-back years was a mistake. I love how he says in retrospect this isn't a good idea. What do you mean in retrospect? You had months to decide the schedule and look things over. You had months to know when each team was going to play. You knew all the matchups by the end of the regular season. It's not like you had to make the schedule that day or that hour. You had plenty of time to look things over and put into the algorithm, hey, you know what? Maybe it's not a good idea to put this team on Christmas Day on the road back-to-back years. It's not like this is a coaching decision or a split-second decision where you only have a few seconds and might not have time to properly analyze everything. And then you're thinking in the shower, oh, if this happened, if I did this, what if I said this? You don't really have those thoughts. That split-second heat of the moment, this is not that. You had plenty of time to think things over. If you're having regrets about the schedule immediately after you made it, then number one, you probably should have released that schedule. And number two, you're woefully unqualified to do your job. Mike North is very clearly unqualified to design an NFL schedule if he's having regrets about the schedule immediately afterwards for something that everyone saw and he didn't see, even though that is his job. And you might be saying, well, what's the big deal about the Ravens playing on the road Christmas Day back-to-back years? The players are getting paid millions. The coaches are making a lot of money. They can spend Christmas away from their families for that money. I spend Christmases away from my family, and I didn't get paid a lot. It's not a big deal. It's not just those people. A team is not just the players and the coaching staff. Think of everyone else that works for a team that is not getting paid a lot of money because the sports industry has a ton of demand, so salaries are significantly less at a lot of positions than other comparable fields. They didn't sign up for this. They did not sign up for having to go on the road back-to-back years and be living their family back-to-back years, especially when the NFL flat out lied to them about this. The NFL flat out said that there would be no games on Christmas Day in 2024. They flat out said that Christmas Day, because it falls on a Wednesday, not going to happen. Vice President of Media Distribution Hans Schrader said at the end of last season, no Christmas games in 2024. You are safe from that holiday. You will not have to work on that holiday. And then, not only does the NFL go back on their word and say, never mind, you're playing on Christmas, we're going to have games that day, but they have the same team play back-to-back years on the road. And you sit on your high throne and you say, well, you know what? In retrospect, it's not like we had a lot of time to look at this, but in retrospect, probably wasn't the best idea to take Christmas away from these people back-to-back years, but what are you going to do? The schedule's out. We didn't see it. We're sorry, but, you know, it's Christmas Day. We make our money, so, yep, too bad. I mean, how insensitive, how crazy can you be? How did no one at the league see this, and they're having regrets immediately afterwards for something that, A, was very obvious, B, should have been caught, and C, just seems woefully unfair to everyone involved. There really should be a rule that says you can't play on Christmas back-to-back years, but at the very least, if you are not going to put that stipulation in place, at the very least, don't have Christmas on the road back-to-back years for the same team, because that's not fair, and the NFL even admitted that it's not fair, but they're not going to do a thing about it because the schedule is out, even though they had weeks and weeks and months even to think of that. Look, the NFL can create algorithms to make sure that teams don't play certain days. The NFL can create algorithms to say, look, we don't want any schedules where the Steelers are playing on the same day at home as the Pirates are playing at home because they share the same parking lot. We don't want any games where the Colts are playing at home when Taylor Swift is at Lucas Oil, or the Saints are playing when Taylor Swift is at the Superdome. We don't want that. They couldn't put in something for that if it mattered that much to them. If they're having immediate regrets after, they couldn't do something about this. They couldn't say, we don't want any schedules where this is a possibility. You could have easily done that, but you chose not to. You chose not to because you're bad at your jobs. This is the worst schedule I've seen in quite some time for the NFL across the board. I mean, I did so many videos on the schedule and how bad it was and all the flaws in that schedule and all the conflicts and how it's woefully unfair to certain teams. And this might be the cream of the crop. This might be the cream of the crop, especially because the NFL and Mike North is admitting right afterwards that there's nothing they can do about it. They screwed up. Always a good sign when right after the schedule comes out before a game is even played, they're saying they screwed up. It's one thing to say in retrospect, you think a team is going to be good, so you give them a ton of primetime games, and then they're not good, and then you stink. And it's like, okay, you know what, in retrospect, probably not the best idea to do this. That's where in retrospect applies. It doesn't apply for a decision like this. And the fact that Mike North is saying that is honestly kind of disgusting. It's honestly kind of disgusting. He's woefully unqualified to do his job from a scheduling perspective, and this schedule is just a complete nightmare, and I feel for Ravens fans. I feel for the Ravens personnel. They're not getting paid a lot. They now have to work on Christmas on the road back-to-back years, away from their family, away from their home. I feel for them. I really do, because it's tough. It stinks. So I feel for you guys. Mike North, I don't feel for you at all. You can have all the regrets you want, but at the end of the day, this was your decision. You had weeks and months to sit on it, and you chose to do this. You chose to not look at the schedule carefully enough to allow this to happen. If it mattered that much to you, you wouldn't have done it. If it mattered that much to you, you would not have done it. So you know what, Mike North? You were unqualified to do your job. But what are your thoughts about the Ravens' Christmas screw-up? Do you think that the Ravens should have to play on the road on Christmas back-to-back years? Do you think any team should have to play on the road on Christmas back-to-back years? What are your thoughts on the NFL schedule and how good it is, how bad it is? How do you think the Ravens are going to do this year? What are your thoughts on the Christmas matchups? Everything about it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And that is going to do it for this episode of JJ9 News. Be sure you like and subscribe. It helps the channel out a lot. And be sure to check my main channel, JaroGare9, where we talk all things NFL history all the time. Until next time, this is JaroGare9 signing off. And as always, go Jags.